Hi everyone. Is it working? Can you all hear me and see me? Just let me know in the chat. Oh, hi. Okay, I think yes. Cool. All right. Yay! Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. It really means a lot, especially those of you who are like awake late or early. So today we're doing a live stream, as you can see. It's just going to be a Q&A because, well, I don't work very well under pressure. So if you want to ask me like physics questions, I'm probably just going to panic and like just say whatever crazy random thing. All my videos are like super scripted and stuff like that, in case you were wondering. So yeah, hi, and thanks again for being here. It really does mean a lot. And thank you for everyone who, you know, made this possible, like made 100,000 subscribers possible. Like that's super cool. And I didn't ever know if I was going to get there. So, where did we? Okay, yeah, there we go. Also, I've never done a live stream before. I've also never watched a live stream before, so I don't really know what's meant to happen. So basically, I've just got a bunch of questions that you guys have asked me a few weeks ago when I told you guys I was doing this, and I thought I would just answer them. So does that sound good to you guys? Okay, cool. So chat overload. But yeah, thanks for writing in the chat, and I'm gonna be looking at it in and out, but I'm gonna look at it all later. Otherwise, I'll just get too flustered and crazy. So one of the most upvoted questions was, what was my journey to get here? And I thought that would be a good one to start with. So it's actually quite, I think, unusual and very random. So basically, when I was 15, I wanted to be a primary school teacher. And I always thought that I wanted to be a primary school teacher. And the reason was because I really like kids. Like, I really like how funny and crazy and silly they are, and how they don't really have manners, which I like. And, you know, they haven't been like corrupted by society. So I wanted to be a primary school teacher. So I went into a primary school teaching degree. And I lasted one semester because I just didn't like it. I thought it was pretty boring. And we even went to schools to do pracs and stuff. And the reason that I didn't like it was because I really liked the way children were. But as a teacher, I feel like, especially a primary school teacher, you're kind of trying to make them be something different. Like, when they be silly, you have to tell them, like, stop being silly and follow the rules and stuff. And I was just like, well, I'm kind of making kids into something that like aren't kids anymore, you know, and I just didn't really like that. So then I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just I traveled around the world for about 3 years because I just was like, well, I don't know what I want to do, and I haven't really seen the world. And then I came back when I was 20, and my mum, so I know this is a stereotype, but my mum is Chinese Malay, and she's like, you have to go to university or else you're like a shame to the family. So I was like, all right. So I enrolled in a marine biology degree just because I kind of always had this fascination with marine animals because they're so crazy. I don't know, they're pretty cool. Like, yeah, just the way they can change colors and they look really different from land animals and stuff like that. So really, that was all of my reasoning. I was just like, oh, marine animals are pretty cool. I think I'm going to just do a marine biology degree. I didn't do any sciences in high school, so I didn't do biology in high school, or just like the mandatory amount. And then when you had to choose electives, I didn't do any sciences. I did more like art and religion and stuff like that, and music. So then when I started this marine biology degree, I liked it. Like, it was super interesting, but because it was first year, I needed to like, oh yeah. So I just got a question from Scott Glover Johnson, who's asked, who's the dog in the background? So that's actually not my dog. I mind this girl's dog 3 days a week. So his name's Valentino, and he's a puppy. I'll show. He's running around being all crazy, but that's him. Hi, Valentino. Say hi. That's Valentino. Okay, anyway, yeah. So if you like dogs, that was a nice interlude. But anyway, where was I? yeah, so I was doing marine biology, and because it was the first year, we needed to also do physics and chemistry to just do like, get a broad range of the sciences. And that was the first time I was really ever exposed to physics. And I just loved it. Like, I really loved it so much. Like, I wasn't very good at it, and I still don't think I'm that good at it. I think I don't have much intuition when it comes to physics, but that was part of the reason why it was so interesting, because every time I was reading a textbook or we were in a lecture, I was just like, wow, like this way of thinking is just insane. Because it's like, it's one of those things where it's hard. It's really hard. Well, it was hard for me anyway to kind of come up with that way of thinking myself. But then when the lecturer told me or I read the answer, it was just like, yeah, that makes so much sense, and it's just interesting why my brain didn't go down that path. So I thought that was really interesting because it was like being exposed to a whole different way of thinking. Sorry, the dog is chewing on my feet. So yeah, I was really fascinated by it. So I switched to a physics degree, and that was how I got into physics. So I hope that answers your question about the journey. It was very difficult because as I said, I didn't do physics in high school, so it was very difficult, which is why I started watching a lot of YouTube tutorials, which is kind of what got me into the whole YouTube thing. And then when I'd finished my degree, I was like, well, YouTube helped me a lot with my physics degree, so I kind of wanted to maybe help people in the same way. So I hope that answers your question about the physics degree. About my journey. So this is just live streaming is such a weird format because I feel like I'm just doing this monologue, and I am reading the chat, but it's just like, lots of people kind of throwing lots of questions at you. So yeah, sorry if I seem a bit flustered. I'm just not really, I just feel like I'm doing this giant monologue, but I mean, I think that's what you're supposed to do in these kinds of situations. So Din Koa asked, did you enjoy the math during your journey? That's an interesting question. So when I was in high school, I did do math, and I kind of always appreciated math and thought it was really cool, but I didn't really put enough effort in during uni to kind of get a lot out of it. Did I enjoy it? I don't know if enjoy is the right word. It's like, it's one of those things where you're happy when you feel like you're understanding it more, but it's really hard. Like, I don't know. I found it pretty difficult, and I did enjoy it, especially the more conceptual parts of it. But I guess like the problem I have with university degrees in general is that everything is so fast. Like, so you don't really have enough time to really enjoy the conceptual part of it, because really, if you want to get a good mark in an exam, you're better off just memorizing the equations and the ways to do things, which isn't fun. But if you can kind of like sneak in there how like the actual concepts and meanings behind all the math, then I think it's really enjoyable. Yeah. So I did enjoy that part, and I definitely enjoyed math in university more than I did in high school because I was more dedicated, and I think I had better lecturers. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, so another question first, the most upvoted question on my on the poll, or not the poll, on the YouTube community tab when I asked you guys about questions was, what are your subscriber demographics? So, and that was the most upvoted question. So I guess a lot of you are interested in my subscriber demographics. So that's fine. So I have them here for you, and I'll just read them so you can find out about that. This is views in the last 28 days. So 37.8% are from the United States, 7.6% are from the United Kingdom, 8% are from India, 4.9% are from Canada, 3.5% are from Germany, 3.4% are from Australia, and then there's a lot of others, but they all have 1%, around 1% or less. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I'm not quite sure why you guys were so interested in the demographics, but I guess it's kind of interesting. Okay, so actually another question I have that I thought was quite interesting was from Knowing Better, Will from Knowing Better. I don't know if you guys know his channel. It's a really, really good channel. And we've been friends for a bit of like a year maybe. And he asked, has anything ever made you think about quitting YouTube? What kept you going? So I actually have a funny story to tell you guys. So I have thought about quitting YouTube, not now. Now I absolutely love it, but before, especially when your channel is smaller and you're not really sure if you're going to like make it, and you're not making any money. So it feels like you're just putting in a lot of time and effort and you're not really sure if it's going to work, and you're not really getting that much of a you're just not really seeing all your hard work pay off, if you know what I mean. And quite recently, I was having one of these periods where I was like, for about 6 months, I wasn't getting very good views. I wasn't getting a lot of growth, and I felt like I was just working so hard and I was stressed all the time. And so yeah, then I felt a bit like, maybe this just isn't for me. Like I'm just a bit sick of feeling stressed all the time. Like, even though I really love interacting with you guys and I love making these videos for you, you do have to be kind of realistic about it in what's going to make you enough money to live and stuff like that. So yeah, I did have this kind of thing where I was like, maybe I should just get a normal office job or whatever, because then at least I would have some security. And I've never had an office job before, and I've never really had like a full-time job before. So I went for this job, and it was actually a cool job. Like, it was in science communication, and it was to do with, it was called Careers in STEM. And it was basically this magazine that was like encouraging people to get into careers in STEM, which is cool. And it's something that I definitely believe in. And my job would have been like making content for their website. So I applied for the job, and I got the job, and I lasted 3 days. And I was really like, on the first day, I was like really excited for the job. And I was like, yeah, like I'm going to be a proper person, like with a proper wage. And I don't know, like, yeah, like I'm 27. And I just feel like by 27, you should kind of be a proper person. I just didn't feel like a proper person. So I had this job, but then I just didn't like it. Like, I just didn't like being in an office and having like hard deadlines and having to like rush things. And I don't know. It was pretty pathetic, actually, now that I'm saying it, like 3 days, but I just couldn't handle it, to be honest. And I think after that 3 days, it was a real wake up call as to like how much I really did love making YouTube videos. And I was just like, okay, well, now I have no choice but to make this work, because I would just rather be stressed. And like, I don't know, like my life before making YouTube videos was just amazing. And I just didn't have that perspective. So yeah. So I definitely did think about it before, but now I'm just like, no way, like I'm going to make it work. Like, it's going to work. And yeah, so I think that was really good. Like, you have to have those moments, when you're deciding what you want to do, especially if you're doing something risky. Okay, so let me see, what other questions do I have? Ooh, here we go. Oh, okay, here's a fun one. Where did you learn your iconic animation style from? So I didn't really learn it, I suppose. So I really like cartoons, and I think the main influences on this style are SpongeBob SquarePants, because I really like SpongeBob SquarePants. Like, I really like the over-the-top expressions. I really like anime as well, and I think you guys can probably tell that from the animations. And yeah, again, with the over-the-top expressions, it's just something like, I don't know, I just think that it's really funny. Like, when there's something with a crazy expression, like it just makes me laugh. And also another Another influence is definitely Salad Fingers. I don't know if you guys know of Salad Fingers, but if you don't, you should definitely check it out. It's so funny. It's like this super creepy, weird cartoon. It's very unique, which I like. So Joan Konza asks, what's my favorite anime? It's a good question. Oh, I don't know if this counts because it's not a Japanese one, but I really like Avatar. I think that counts as an anime. That's probably the one that I watched most recently. I kind of grew up watching Dragon Ball Z because I have two brothers. So like every morning it was just, in Australia, we had this show called Cheese TV, and they showed 3 different cartoons, and one of them was always Dragon Ball Z. And I liked Dragon Ball Z. That was pretty good. I know there's definitely more. Oh no, actually my favorite one is Death Note. Okay, that's definitely the favorite. It's like a crazy psychological thriller. That's the one. So comment in the chat if you like Death Note as well. It's just like, it's so thrilling and it's so interesting, and the stories they come up with, like the writers are incredible. Okay, so I don't know why. I feel like we have plenty of time. This is just, it's just such a weird format doing like a monologue. Let's see. So someone else asked, where does the name Up Adam come from? It actually comes from The Simpsons. So The Simpsons is one of my favorite TV shows, and there's a character in it called McBain. And he's meant to be like the Simpsons version of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he says, like, in America, there's this saying called like up and at them, which means like let's go get them. And, you know, it's like something that superheroes and stuff say. And he says it funny because he has a funny accent, and he says like up and at him. And I didn't actually know that's what he was saying. I just didn't really think about what he was saying. Like, to me, in my head, they were just sounds, I guess, because I've been watching Simpsons since I was a kid. And so the name actually used to be Miss Physics because I was doing more like physics tutorials. But then it was very similar to Physics Girl, which, you know, it is very similar. And a lot of people were saying that it was very similar. And I was just like, yeah, like it does kind of feel like I'm just ripping off Physics Girl, right? Like Miss Physics is just like, it's too close, I think, especially because I'm doing pretty similar content. So I wanted to change it for a while. And then, this is going to sound super douchey, but I was meditating, and I don't really even meditate that much, but just like a few years ago, I was just randomly meditating. And then just the name, just like the words from the Simpsons came to me, like Up and Adam. And I was just like, Up and Adam, like that's a cool name. So I just changed it to that name. And I actually thought that's what he was saying, like up and atom. So I didn't even mean for it to be a pun, but it just turned out to be a pun. So yeah, that's where the name came from. Again, pretty random story. What else? Oh, okay. What do you do if you can't find a way to make a boring topic interesting? So first, I never do topics I think are boring, but I also don't think that any physics topic is boring, really, or math or computer science. But if I feel like maybe the audience might think it's boring, usually my go-to is just to personify everything. So really, for example, if you have an electron and it like maybe it's a bit boring, or it's just, you know, it doesn't look that appealing, if you just put like a funny face on it, all of a sudden it's like, you know, pretty funny to watch, right? And you can make a story about it. And I think people really resonate more with stories and characters. And I definitely do. Like, I like to read a lot and stuff like that. So I think that it's kind of natural for our brains to remember and think and analyze more about people and stories, just evolutionarily wise. And so if you can kind of make a story or a character or a person out of like a physics or math concept, that's generally my go-to. Like if you watch my videos, I'm pretty sure that's like probably the only trick that I really use. Like if I think like a concept is hard to explain, I'm just like, oh, let's just call him Barry, and you know, he has these motives, like he wants to get over here, and it just seems like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, you know, or at least it's fun to follow. So, oh, look, oh gosh, okay. What is the next best skill you want to learn? I think what came to my mind just now is coding, just because I think coding is a really useful skill in today's age, and you can do so much with it. And I really think it would make your life easier. But again, it's like I've tried coding in my physics degree, and it's just one of those things I'm not naturally very good at. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. Again, you have to use this really like rational part of your brain. And honestly, I don't think that I'm very rational at all. That's why I prefer to that's why in high school, actually, I think I did all like art and music and stuff like that, because I was like all artsy. And like, actually, if I see my teachers from my high school and they ask me what I'm doing and I'm like, I did a physics degree, they're all really surprised, and they're all like, what? Like, you were always more into like, you know, writing creative stories and stuff. And I was like, I know, like, I really don't know. Like, yeah, I really don't think so. I really don't think I'm that good at physics. So if you feel like you don't think you're that good at physics, but you really like it and you find it discouraging, don't be too discouraged, because I still think you can make it, you can make it unique to you. I think, like, just because you're not good at the same kinds of things that other people are good at, that say that they're good at physics and stuff, doesn't mean that there's no room there for you, you know. Like, I did an applied physics degree, which focused mainly on experiments, and like I was so bad at experiments, and I really tried. So it's not like I was just bad at them to begin with. And it was 3 times a week for 3 years that we were doing experiments, and I was trying really hard the whole time. So, you know, I gave it a go, and I'm just not naturally very good at experiments. I think it's because I'm not very good at paying attention to detail, and I don't really like trial and error, doing things by trial and error, and I don't really enjoy tinkering. But, you know, like, there are other parts that I think that I'm pretty good at with physics, like the more conceptual side of things, and things that, like quantum physics, where it's kind of about philosophy a bit and stuff like that. Or like, not that it's about philosophy, but there's like a lot of philosophical ideas, I guess, like when you start thinking about like what is a wave function and stuff like that. So yeah, don't be too discouraged. Like, if you think you don't fit into the box of being a physicist, like maybe you're not that good at math or something like that. Faraday was a really famous physicist who was notoriously bad at math, and he was just really good at kind of like visualizing things. And he actually, like, because he was so bad at math, he invented field lines, and that's like a really cool way to visualize electric fields. And you know, so yeah, the point is that just like, if you really like physics, like, I think you just try, like, just keep trying, and I think that, yeah, you'll get there. All right, let's see. Where did I get my degree? I got it at UTS in Sydney, Australia. Oh, someone asked, Topher Has Opinions asked, can I convince you to Skype my physics class in the same way? Yeah, I could Skype with your physics class. I don't really know what you'd want me to talk about, though, because well, so I have to tell you guys, because also a lot of you have asked what are my like academics, like what are my academics? I don't know. And I've done an undergrad, so I've done a physics degree in applied physics, a bachelor's of science. So I haven't done a master's or a PhD or anything like that. So basically, I'm not an expert in anything. So I feel like when I was asking you guys, like, what do you want to know about me? A lot of you were saying things like, oh, what is the unifying theory between quantum physics and gravity and stuff? And I'm just like, okay, so yeah, I've done an undergrad, so I'm definitely not an expert. And basically, right after my undergrad, I went into a research project in computational physics, and it was the coding, and that's when I realized, like, this is not my thing. And basically, right after that, I started the YouTube thing, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm better at communicating. So yeah, that's what I've done. But to answer your question, I would be happy to do a Skype. Someone has asked, what is my middle name? My middle name is Joyce, after my grandma. Me and my grandma have the same birthday, but I only met her once and she was mean to me, so I have like no affinity to her or anything. But yeah, the middle name is Joyce. Jade Joyce Tanholmes. Okay. This is a fun question. Why did I choose physics? So apart from the fact that I really like it, so basically when I was doing my biology degree, I knew I wanted to switch to either physics or chemistry because I really liked chemistry as well. So basically it was just like before I switched, I was like, oh, like which one should I do, physics or chemistry? Like I don't know. But then I did organic chemistry, and I don't know if you guys have ever done organic chemistry or know what it is, but basically it's like, you know, when you see those hexagons and they're kind of connected to each other and they tell you what molecule it is, that's organic chemistry. And basically in the subject that I was studying, we had to learn to identify the molecules. Also, if we were like given a name of a molecule, we had to learn, draw it and stuff like that. And I spent the entire semester trying to find a pattern, like trying to be like, okay, so if it's an alcohol, then like what does it look like and stuff like that. And there was just no pattern that I could see. And so I basically like, for 90% of the semester was just trying to find a pattern and like not memorizing anything. And then when it came to the exam, I think about 3 days before the exam, I was just like, okay, I can't find a pattern. I'm just going to try memorize stuff. And I did pretty badly in the exam because there was so much to memorize. And yeah, ever since that time, like honestly, I'm still convinced there's a pattern. Like it doesn't make any sense to me that they just randomly named things. That just seems too silly. Like I still think that there's a pattern. I just couldn't find it. But yeah, so that's basically what made me choose between physics and chemistry. That like I just totally bombed organic chemistry and I couldn't find a pattern and it just wasn't a great experience. But I'm pretty happy because I do really like physics, and there was no point during my physics degree that I was thinking I wish I chose chemistry or anything like that. Like, yeah, I really liked the physics degree. I think it was really cool. Let's see. What's my favorite Pokemon? That's a really hard question unless you actually spend a lot of time thinking about Pokemon, because there's a lot of Pokemon. And I stopped watching Pokemon when all the new Pokemon came out, because I think that so of course I was super into Pokemon because when it came out I was like around 8 years old, which is like the perfect time or the perfect age to be in love with Pokemon. And I had memorized all the Pokemon. Like I remember there was that Pokemon song where it listed like, I think it was around 300 Pokemon. It was like a rap song, and like I like knew the song and I knew all the Pokemon in it. But then when all the new Pokemon came out, like I think I just felt too discouraged and I was like, oh, I can't keep up with this. I gotta say, probably my favorite Pokemon is probably Charizard, and so this is a heavily biased opinion, because when I used to play the game on Game Boy, and I chose to be Charmander as like the very first Pokemon that you start with in Pokemon Blue. And my brothers as well, they played as well, and I remember and they chose the other Pokemon that you start with, like Squirtle and Bulbasaur. And I just remember thinking, like, I'm really happy I chose Charmander, because I think that he's just better, like he just seems to be better. And especially Charizard, like Charizard is just so powerful, and even in the show, he was so funny how he just like didn't do what Ash said, but then when he was faced with a real challenge, he like was actually interested. And I think I really kind of like that personality. I think that's reflective of a lot of kind of great people, and especially great scientists, that they just kind of go against or like not that they go against, but if they don't really see why they should do something, even if it's like a rule or like a university law or something like that, they're just like, I just don't want to do it, and like, why should I do it, you know? And then, but when there's something that they're actually into and interested in, they just like go into it 100%. And I think that's a pretty cool personality trait. So yeah, I gotta say, I think Charizard is probably my favorite Pokemon. What are your favorite Pokemons? Like, can you please tell me in the chat? I'm like looking at it. It's very hard to keep up with it, but I'm kind of, it's hard to keep up and talk. You know, contrary to stereotype, I'm actually really bad at multitasking. But I think that's also another reason I didn't last very long in the job as well, because they wanted me to do all these different things, and I was just like, like I can't do all these things. And so yeah, usually when I get into a video, I'm just like, I usually work on 2 or 3 videos at once, but like, you know, if I'm like doing something for 2 hours, I'm like, I'm doing that thing. And if anything else comes up, I'm just like, yeah, it's not going to happen. Okay, what's next? What is so here's a question that came up in the chat, and also it's kind of come up when I asked you guys before, is what advice would I give to somebody starting university? And it kind of in the same question I got was, do I have any advice for a young person wanting to get into physics? So I'm guessing with university, I'm going to talk about physics or math, because I don't know. Well, I hopefully you're asking about those things. Okay, so with physics, there are going to be a lot of times where you just feel really stupid. Like, yeah, I would say really just get used to this. Okay, so I'm not trying to scare you, because it is a really cool thing and I totally encourage it. But I would say get comfortable with the feeling of feeling stupid and know that it's not just you. Like, even if you feel like it's just you, it's really not. Like, so when I first started the degree, obviously I felt really stupid all the time because I'd never like done physics. And even in my labs, like a lot of people had done physics in high school, so they knew pretty basic things that I didn't know. So I just felt really stupid a lot. And sometimes I'd like even rush it. Like sometimes I would be sitting in a lecture and I just wouldn't understand anything, and I would just feel really overwhelmed and just have to leave the lecture because I was just like, I wasn't learning anything. I just felt stupid. Like I was just panicking. And that was when I didn't really, like, that was right at the beginning. So I didn't really have any friends then. And then when I started kind of trying to make, when I started making more friends, or even just people that you speak to when you do group work together and stuff, you kind of realize that nobody really has any idea what's going on. And everybody's kind of just pretending. And usually that person in the class that like knows all the answers to the questions is usually repeating the class. So, well, that's what it was like during my degree anyway. So like, I remember there was this one guy that like knew all the answers, and everybody was like, oh my God, he's so smart. Like he's making us feel so stupid. And then when we actually got to know him, he was taking that subject for the 3rd time. So it was kind of like, I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I really don't remember anyone in my degree that like felt like they knew everything all of the time. So I would say that just like get pretty used to feeling stupid. And just know that like when you feel stupid, it means that you're actually challenging yourself and you're actually learning things. So that's definitely a good thing. Yeah, and just again, like don't give up and don't compare yourself to like other people's strengths. And if you don't know your own strengths, take some time to think about it and figure it out and focus on that. Yeah, that would be my advice. Also, a huge mistake that I made, and that I've made since high school, so it was very difficult to correct, was that I focused a lot on grades. And I know that sounds like, you know, you should focus a lot on grades, but I feel like I used them as a metric for what I understood, which it's not true. Like, so for example, you can get a really good mark in a math test by memorizing formulas and by memorizing procedures and how to do things, but really not know what you're doing. Like you can know all the different ways to solve a differential equation or to do the different calculus methods and stuff like that, but not really know what you're doing. Like if you're asked a question, you can know like, oh, I know how to do that question, but you don't know what it means. And I would say that focus more on what things actually mean and building your intuition rather than getting good grades. And if you can do both, that's awesome. But I think university, unless you're a genius, which you might be, for me, I don't think I could do that because university goes pretty quickly. Like, I really don't think that they give enough time per kind of subject. So I really think if you could choose, like getting good grades or building an intuition, definitely try build an intuition, as long as you can kind of pass the topic. Okay, so that would be my advice. I hope that you found it helpful or that it could help you in some way. Again, I feel a bit weird giving, like I'm not an expert or anything like that, but yeah, I guess that would be my advice. Let's see. A kind of nice one that I was asked was, what are my role models and inspiration? So my non-personal, or like they're personal, but they're not people that I know, so I've been reading a lot about Einstein lately because I've recently got this book called Einstein's War, which is about how he came up with his theories of relativity, but also in the context of the war. So it's quite impressive, actually. I would definitely recommend it. It's just come out. It's called Einstein's War. And so Einstein, Feynman, and also Emmy Noether, I know that's not how you pronounce her name, but I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think what impresses me most about those scientists isn't their intellect, although obviously that is extremely impressive, but it's just their dedication to what they were doing. So I remember one of my favorite stories about Emmy Noether is that she used to, when she gave a lecture or something like that, sometimes she was eating or drinking. And one time she was drinking soup, and the students said that she was just so animated in her speaking that she was just spilling the soup everywhere and like all over herself and stuff like that. And so I just think it's really cool that she was just so into the physics and into what she was saying that she just didn't even realize that she was just spilling soup everywhere. And I think that kind of like getting caught up in something and like dedication to something is just really impressive. And I think it's a trait that happens among a lot of scientists. And on a more personal level, I think my biggest role model and inspiration is definitely my husband, especially with the whole YouTube thing. So I admire him a lot. So he's a theoretical computer scientist, non-plural. And he definitely has this trait where he just gets totally wrapped up in something. And like sometimes I'll be like, Simon, and he just won't hear me because he'll just be like thinking about computer science. And he was also really supportive when I first started the channel. So I honestly think that the channel wouldn't exist right now, or wouldn't be what it was right now if it wasn't for him. Because when I first started, like when you tell your parents you want to be a YouTuber, they're not always the most supportive, and I can totally understand that. And I think that if you talk to any kind of YouTuber about what their parents thought, I think, most parents want you to have like a secure job or something. And also they don't really know what being a YouTuber means. Like that's not a thing that was around in their day. So they weren't very supportive. Also my friends weren't super supportive. They kind of like, I don't have that many friends that are really that into science. And also, I don't know, they were kind of just skeptical. Like I think it came out of a place of being being concerned for you, because they were kind of like, oh, can you really make enough money doing that and stuff like that. But then, yeah, when I told Simon, he was just like, yeah, like that's the best idea ever. And I think more people really need to know about science and so and he really supported me a lot, especially during those times when like I felt like giving up. He said he thought it would be a shame, and like, you know, so he's definitely a huge inspiration and role model for me. All right, so I'm actually out of the questions that you guys posted to me. So I'm just going to answer questions from the chat now. So that's cool. That's like live stream spirit, right? Yes, Knowing Better says, my dad still doesn't understand how we make money. And I feel like, so yeah, so now I am making some money, but every time I see my mum, which is like once a week, she always says like, she just always thinks I'm not making money. And I've told her like, no, like I am. And like, she just doesn't listen to, anyway, she's a great lady, my mum, but she doesn't listen. So is YouTube, well, okay, so is YouTube a sustainable business model? Yes, it definitely is. So it took a while before I actually started making money, I think about 2.5 years. And it's only become now that I can kind of do it like full time. But yeah, it definitely is. Like, you just have to try. You just have to really try, and you have to be willing to put in a lot of effort without getting paid for the first, some people get lucky and it doesn't take them that long, but for me it took 2.5 years, and it might take longer, like depending on what and depending on what kind of channel you have, and also depending on how long it takes you to kind of find your groove. Like for me, I actually only found my groove, like I think, I don't know, 3 months ago. Like before then I didn't really know what worked for me, and I was kind of trying to be like other YouTubers and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say for anybody who wants to start a YouTube channel, like in science or anything really, something really important is to just be unique. Like I know that sounds weird and cliche, like everyone's like, oh, be yourself and stuff. Especially because when you first start, you don't really know what that means. Like you don't know what yourself is, especially on camera and especially in making videos. But it is really important. And I think like, yeah, I definitely made a lot of mistakes when I was first starting. I was always trying to be like the other big science YouTubers. That even when it came to writing my script, I was just like, oh, how would like Veritasium say that? Or what kind of thing would Physics Girl do in this situation? And that obviously wasn't working, because you can't try, like if you try and be like someone else, it just seems totally disingenuous. So yeah, I would say that if you're trying to start your own channel, definitely go for it. It's so much fun. But just focus on your strengths and what makes you unique, and try to put something out there that isn't already there. So that would be my main advice. If someone's saying there is a small dog, yes, he's asleep now. He's very cute. I wish I could show you, but I can't really. Oh wait, maybe I can. Where is he? Valentino. Oh no, I can't. Wait, here, I'll just show you to the screen. Valentino. Here we go. He's so cute, don't you think? His name is Valentino. I'm just minding him. He's sleepy. Oh, sleepy. Okay, go back to sleep. He was sleepy. When I was setting up the live stream and I was just figuring out how to do everything, because I've never done one of these before, he was like running around going all crazy, and it was really like stressing me out, because I was, anyway. Go back to sleep, darling. All right, let's see, what else have we got? Yes, he's so cute, isn't he? Oh, favorite Simpsons character. That's a fun one. This is maybe, hang on. Okay, this is maybe a weird answer, but I really like Marge. And so she just has the best one-liners. Like I remember this time, what was the funny thing that she said? She was like, yeah, they wanted to go to Bart and Lisa wanted to go to Itchy and Scratchy Land or something like that. And she was just like, why don't we go to the Bird Museum? And I don't know. Maybe that doesn't sound that funny, but I think that's kind of my humor. Like when they just say something totally naive, but just that nobody would ever agree to. And yeah, so I think Marge is definitely one of my favorites. Who else have we got out of the Simpsons family? Oh, I really like that lawyer, that like totally incompetent lawyer. I can't remember his name, but he's pretty funny. Like whenever whenever he is in an episode, it's just hilarious. I think my favorite episode is probably the Frank Grimes one, because like I don't know why, but in it Homer is just so stupid and so annoying, and it's really funny to see that contrasted with someone like outside of the Simpsons world, like a normal person, and it really brings into light like how crazy how crazy the world is and how crazy Homer is. I hope that you guys, I hope that a lot of you have seen The Simpsons, so it doesn't feel like I'm just like talking about something random. So yeah, what are your favorite Simpsons characters and why? I'm so happy that we're actually talking about something that, you know, so, like I love talking about my videos obviously, but it's cool to just stuff like Simpsons and SpongeBob and stuff. Oh, okay, this is a more serious question. For a YouTube channel, how much luck do you think is involved in being successful? I think a lot of luck is involved. I think conditions have to be really right. But I also think you can definitely influence your luck and your conditions. So when I was smaller, when the YouTube channel was smaller, and I wasn't really getting a lot of traction and stuff like that, one thing that really worked for me was reaching out to bigger channels like Physics Girl. So I think when I did a collaboration with Physics Girl, I think I had around 8,000 subscribers. And after that collaboration, I think it brought me to about 20,000 subscribers, which is like, you know, it's definitely substantial. Like it's the difference between kind of like not being able to make any money and then being able to make some money. And for bigger YouTubers like that to pay attention to you, you need to have quality content. And I really think that's it. So I think like what will help people collaborate with you is if you have quality content, and if you've met them, or if you've like, at least if they know of you a bit. So I met her at VidCon, which is how she knew me. So I think you do need to be really lucky, but even just in life, you know, like you need to have had a circumstance so that you have enough time to be able to dedicate to a YouTube channel, because it takes a lot of time and effort. So yeah, definitely you have to be lucky, but you can also, I mean, it's not completely out of your control. You can focus on having really good quality and collaborating with other people and just like going for every opportunity that you can, like with the Tom Scott one. Tom Scott does these, I think once a year he does these kind of like, what is it called? Sorry, I'm getting a bit tired. He does these things where he trials like he goes on holiday and he puts up 4 guest videos, and you can like audition for those. So he does those kinds of things. So yeah, there is a lot of luck, but it's definitely not impossible, and it's not out of your control. And you know, you just got to be persistent, to be honest. Persistence is definitely the main key, like with anything in life, really. What is my favorite music artist? I think at the moment my favorite music artist is Billie Eilish. I know that sounds really basic, and to be honest, I'm pretty basic. Like I like basic stuff like pop music, and I don't like cooking, but I went through this phase where I was making cupcakes all the time. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably remember that. Yeah, so that's that question. Why are there so many Australian math physics YouTubers? Are there? Like, I feel like there are a lot of female physics YouTubers. Like Tibbies, which if you don't know, you should check out her channel. It's really cool. Also, Looking Glass Universe is another one. And Vanessa from Braincraft, she's not a physics, but she does neuroscience and psychology videos. And yeah, it is weird, isn't it, that there's a lot of Australian female science YouTubers. I really don't know why. Like, I honestly have no idea. I wish that I did, but when I talk to them about it, they also don't know. It just one of those weird things. If you know any like non-Australian female physics YouTubers or science YouTubers, please let us know in the chat, because I'd really like to check them out. Am I more of a dog or a cat person? I think I'm more of a cat person. So I really love dogs, obviously. I love taking care of this little guy. And I grew up with two dogs, two border collies, Tiffer and Jack, and the boy was mine, Jack. And I really love him. I love them both, but, you know, he was mine, so I really loved him. But when I was in the US, I had these two cats, Speck and Dewey. And I don't know, like cats are just so funny. Like they're so funny and crazy and they're so cute. And also like I like dogs, but they're a bit much sometimes. Like, you know, it's like they need your constant attention and stuff, which can be nice, but also it can just be too much. I kind of like how cats like sleep half of their life. And then when they wake up, they just kind of want to cuddle and they can like, you know, you can just chill out with them a bit more. So I think I think I'm more of a cat person. You know, I've never actually been forced to answer that question. So I didn't know that about myself. So thank you. Usually when people ask stuff like that, I just say both because I really do love them both. But if I had to choose, I think I would choose cats. Yeah. If I had a gun to my head, I think I would choose cats. Sorry, dog people. I still like dogs. Don't unsubscribe. I'll keep putting dogs in my video. I'll put Valentino in my video. Oh, do I like comedy? Of course. Who doesn't like comedy? I don't really like, I really like dry British comedy. So my favorite comedy show is called Peep Show. And it's this British show with this comedian that I really like called David Mitchell. And it's just really dry and it's really like they get in crazy scenarios and there's no canned laughter. Not that I really mind about canned laughter, but yeah, it's more that kind of humor. So, oh, hey, Tibby's is here. Hi, Tibby's. Toby. Oh, cool. Some people know that Peep Show. That's nice. Yeah, it's not a very well-known show. I don't know why. I think it's even on Netflix now. And also The In-Betweeners, if you guys know The In-Betweeners. So yeah, just I guess British comedy. Maybe because my dad is British, so I grew up with it. That's probably why. But I also really like American comedies as well, like Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. One of my favorite movies is Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey, just because he's the funniest person alive. Like, I was watching it a while ago, and I just remember some of the faces that he makes. I'm just like, no one else in the world could have played this role except Jim Carrey. All right, so what else have we got? Okay, I think I'm kind of out of questions. Oh yeah, Would I Lie to You? That's a really good show. I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions? Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what to do. What's my height? Yeah, that's an easy one. It's like, oh, what is it? I only know in centimeters. It's about 180 centimeters. So I'm pretty tall. I don't know if you guys, hang on, let me see if I can show you guys how tall I am. And well, that fridge is not that tall. I'll go stand next to it and see if you can, hang on. I'm totally running out of things to do in case you haven't noticed. An hour is a long time. See, I'm pretty tall. I'm like, yeah, 180 centimeters. But you guys don't really have any context because you can't really see how tall anything in here is. But something else asked an interesting question. 172. Oh, tips for a final exam. All right, I would say. So something I happen to be pretty good at is cramming. So I would say tips for a final exam is if the exam is like literally tomorrow or in 2 days, don't focus on understanding stuff. Focus on how to answer questions. So, well, in my degree anyway, it was like probably 80% answering questions like through equations, not really conceptual stuff. So I would say that, yeah, definitely do the past paper exams and just focus on how to answer on how to answer the questions, more than like fundamental understanding. Even though that's pretty sad, if you really just left it to the last minute and have to pass your exam, that's what I would do to pass the exam. Just like memorize how to actually answer questions, because that's quite difficult. Like, a really good way to do that is just to kind of memorize the variables, like memorize what K means and what like rho means and stuff like that. And then just kind of like, just so you can plug the values right into the equation. So yeah, I wish I could elaborate more on that, but it's been ages since I've actually done an exam, but I used to have this whole method and everything. Who do I want to win Game of Thrones? Oh, that's a good question. You know, I would have wanted, before the last episode, I would have wanted Daenerys to win, because I thought she would have made a really good queen. Like, even though she's been, you know, ruthless and stuff like that, like sometimes to be a good monarch or to be a good leader, you have to be a bit ruthless. So I thought she was good. I thought she had like the traits to be a good queen. But then she just kind of went crazy, right, in the last episode, which was surprising, I thought. But yeah, that was pretty evil what she did. So I have to say, after that, I don't think that I would want her to be queen anymore. And then the other only choice really is Jon. And like, Jon doesn't really want to be king. So I just feel like if he were, he wouldn't do a very good job, because he doesn't really want to be king. And, you know, Cersei died. Well, sorry. Okay, I won't say. Maybe, yeah, sorry. I shouldn't. That was a bad question, actually. That was a bad question. Okay, sorry for people who haven't seen it. I'm going to totally stop now. I just saw people being like, spoilers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, because I hate spoilers. So I'm really sorry if I ruined anything for anyone. What do I do in my free time? So basically, I don't really have that much free time, because I work so much on the YouTube videos, which I love. Like, I love working on them. Like, sometimes I'll wake up on a Sunday and I like won't have planned, I'll be like, oh, I should have a day off today. But then I'll just be like, oh, I feel like working on a video, you know? So I really, really love working on the videos. But I've started trying to do more exercise lately, because I never really did that much exercise. And, you know, because I'm getting older, I should, you know, you got to take care of your body and stuff like that. So I've started doing hip hop classes. So they're really fun. So I've started doing random hip hop dancing. I'm not very good, but, you know, I think it's really fun. I do yoga sometimes. And I'm going to start doing rock climbing once a week. So I've kind of started to try to do a bit sporty things, because most of, you know, because I kind of just sit in this chair all day and I just do research or drawing and stuff like that. So, okay, so we got 2 minutes left. So let's see if we can make the most of it. Weekly live stream? I don't know. So Panags has asked, do you think that a weekly live stream would be a good idea? Do you guys think it would be a good idea? Like after today, I don't really know what I would talk about. I don't know. Let me know if you guys would think that would be a good idea. I don't know. I think I would, maybe not weekly, but maybe monthly, I think I would be happy to do. Just because, like, as I said, I'm not very good at improvising and I don't really work well, you know, under pressure or on the spot. But I mean, this was fun. Like, if you guys are happy to hear me talk, like, I'm happy to talk. Do I do any time tracking? I tried to, but not really, because it's really hard, I think. Like, no, honestly, no, I don't really do any time tracking. My friends told me it would be a good idea, because sometimes I get inquiries asking like me to do certain things, and they want to quote and stuff like that, and I have no idea how much to quote them, because I don't know how long anything takes me to do. But also, things take me a lot of different times to do. Like, for my videos, people sometimes ask me how long does it take me to make a video, and the answer is just that every video is different. Because, for example, the video I'm working on now, it's really cool. It's called Braces Paradox. It's so cool. Anyway, it's taken me about a week and a half to do the research for, but the Russell's Paradox video took me 6 weeks to do research for. So, and Yeah, so really every topic just takes a different amount of time, and before I start, I have no idea. Like with the Russell's Paradox video, the reason that I wanted to do it was because I was like, oh, I haven't uploaded a video for a long time, and I kind of know about Russell's Paradox, so that should be like a quick video. And that was the longest video research-wise that it's ever taken me to do. So what was the question? Oh yeah, do I do time tracking? No, I don't, because it's futile. It's just futile. It's kind of like when I try to wake up early. Like I'm always trying to wake up early, like, 8 or 9, and it's just futile. So that's an hour. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It was really fun. I hope that you found this kind of interesting. I feel like I just talked about myself for an hour, but I don't really know what else you're supposed to do on live streams and Q&As. So yeah, this is really exciting to celebrate this with all of you guys. I'm getting that silver button soon. Maybe I'll do a live stream for that too. I don't know. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me if you would like me to do another one, and maybe what you would like me to talk about. Because I feel like I already ran out of interesting things about me to say. So yeah, thank you. Bye.